Welcome to ENG 303, Study Session 9, Polar Questions. Introduction. Questions come in different modes. This depends on the attitude of the speaker. Is he asking for specific information? Where are you? Is he seeking confirmation of information from a person? You are a doctor. Is he showing surprise? You caught the lion alive? Or is he thinking aloud? I don't know whether he loves me. All this depict the different attitudes that may encourage the formation and use of a particular question form. In this lecture, we shall be concerned with polar questions, otherwise called yes or no questions. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to construct a polar question, explain the derivation of polar question, and 3. Distinguish between polar questions and other question types. Pre-test. 1. What is a polar question? How are polar questions formed? What is the Ox-NP inversion rule? What is do support? Content. Questions are of different types. These are broadly categorized into direct and indirect questions. A further subdivision includes polar, yes or no questions, echo questions, and WH questions. These are exemplified respectively in the following sentences. A. Can you sing? Polar. Direct question. B. You are the famous Komsky. Direct question. What will she do? WH question. Direct question. We asked whether they will come. Indirect question. She wondered if he still loves her. Indirect question. In this section, we shall discuss only polar questions and defer discussions on other aspects to subsequent lectures. Polar questions. Polar questions require either a positive or a negative answer. For example, a yes or a no answer. This explains why they are also called yes or no questions. Polar questions are derived from declarative statements through the Ox-NP inversion rule. This rule is formalized as in this rule, the first part states the original position of items in a structure, while the second part, which occurs after the arrow, shows the result of swapping of items. In the first part, the components AGR, TNSM, AV, and B all occur after the NP. However, in the second part, these items occur before the NP. This means that the items which are auxiliary elements and the NP, representing the subject of a sentence, have swapped places. Hence, the swapping is called the Ox-NP inversion. The first part of the rule reflects the basic structure of a declarative sentence, while the second part is the structure of a polar question. X in the rule is a variable that represents all other components that occur after the verb. Here are some examples. We shall pray. Shall we pray? Note that to realize the surface structure of the question, we must apply the affix hoping rule, in which shall is matched with press and AGR to produce shall. The polar question above is analyzed as follows. Surface structure. Shall we pray? Note that no element occurs under the INFL node, since its AGR, tense and modal have been moved to the sentence initial position. Consider these other examples too. 5. Is he writing in Eisen? The basic declarative form of this question is 6. Let us first look at the rule of inversion that applies to it. We can derive a question form from this tree diagram by applying the Hooke's-NP inversion rule as in the following. Surface structure. Is he writing in Eisen? In this analysis, the INFL elements are AGR, TNS, and BE. When the Hooke's-NP inversion rule is applied, the elements are moved into comb in 7, but the ing affix of the progressive aspect remains behind, since the rule requires the movement of the first 3 INFL elements into comb. Finally, when the affix hopping rule applies, we arrive at the surface structure, which is a normal polar question. In some cases, however, the INFL elements may not be up to 3. They may have only AGR and TNS. How do we analyze such sentences? Consider the following. BC has code. From the schema above, we realize that only the element AGR and TNS reflect in the sentence. So, when we apply the Hooke's-NP inversion rule only, the 2 elements can move into comb. The rule cannot move a main verb. There will therefore be a problem in forming the question since there is no question marker. The solution to this problem is to introduce a dummy element, do, in comb. This will assist us in forming the question. We can now apply the affix hopping rule and we will arrive at the right question. The following are the analysis of the different procedures. Surface structure. Does BC have code? The first tree, diagram 9, is the deep structure of the sentence, while the second 10 is the surface structure. Note that we are able to apply a fixed open rule because of the insertion of do. Nevertheless, there are also situations where the verb be behaves like a main verb in a sentence. In this sense, the use of do support is unnecessary. This is because we can use the verb as an auxiliary item and move it into comb along with AGR and TNS. Here is an example. Joy is a student. Is Joy a student? A. Basic or deep structure. B. Derived or surface structure. Surface structure. Is Joy a student? Notice that in the last 3 diagram above, we did not write any word under V. This is because the verb be had been moved into comb. Summary. In this lecture, we have described the realization of polar questions from ordinary basic sentences. We also discussed the Hooke's-NP inversion rule and its application to polar questions. Finally, we introduced the concept of do support and structures in which a primary verb, be, can be moved along with AGR and TNS into comb. We've come to the end of study section 9. Thanks for listening.